Good day, my dear students. I hope you're doing fine. Today, I am going to present to you the second module for our midterm period, which is entitled GTLDC. GTLDC stands for Groups, Teamwork, Leadership, Decision Making, and Conflict Resolution. GTLDC, or Groups, Teamwork, Leadership, Decision Making, and Conflict Resolution, are very important factors on how an organization can effectively deliver the best services that a union can do. It is also called the heart of every organization or groups. It provides the best avenue to balance every corner and will have the best method to harmonize organizational practices in the organization. In an increasingly knowledge-intensive world, the most competent leader of a group could be staring at the face of failure if the team that is led fails to measure up to the leader's objective and management. Moreover, there is a great deal that all plans and tasks will be derailed. Indeed, teams can be rudderless without effective and wise leadership. There has been a significant debate as to the styles and characteristics of leadership that engender optimal team performance. Obviously, leadership and teamwork cannot exist without each other. They have to be balanced, coordinated, and synergized for optimal organizational performance towards successful outcomes like decision making and conflict resolution. This module therefore explores and proposes the best practices that would enable an optimal balance of leadership in a group and teamwork towards successful outcomes in a competitive environment. Group is defined as any number of persons who share a consciousness of membership and interaction. A group is not a mere collection of individuals, but an aggregate of personalities acting and interacting with one another in the process of living. To be a member of the group, one must participate in the common life and activities of the group. Being in groups is part of everyday life, and many of us will belong to a wide range of groups. For example, family, social groups, sport groups, committees, and etc. This lesson dwells on the fundamentals of group and group dynamics, which include the forces found in small groups, kinds of formal and informal groups. At the end of the lesson, the students are expected to first, state the fundamentals of group and group dynamics. Second, explain the concepts, characteristics, and types of groups. And third, classify groups as formal or informal. Part. A group is a collection of people with some common characteristics or purpose. A group can consist of any number of people. People in groups are defined themselves and by others as a group member. In other words, individuals are aware that they are part of the group. So, what is now the difference of group and a crowd? Here is how we can explain it. A group is more or less permanent, while a crowd is very short-lived or transitory in nature. A group is a number of persons being in some relation to one another, while crowd is a group of people congregated or collected into a close body without order. A group generally has a centralized leadership. Members of a group behave in a very organized, constructive, social, and civilized manner. A group is more organized while a crowd is more disorganized. So that is very self-explanatory. Madali lang natin maintindihan kung ano yung kaibahan ng group at saka yung sa crowd. Yung mga concerts, yung mga ganyan, crowd yan. Yung mga nanonood sa mga pageants, yan, crowd yan. Yung group naman, yung mga examples ng group, kaya yung sinabi kanina, family, a certain organization, that's an example of a group. So, mas established yung group kaysa sa crowd. Kasi yung crowd, pag nagkita lang sila doon, pagkatapos ng isang event, wala na. No? Yung mga rallies, crowd yan. What do you think is the reason why people are joining groups? There are variety of reasons. Here in our module, we have some examples of it. First is affiliations. What do you mean by affiliation? The state or relation of being closely associated or affiliated with a particular person, group, party, company, or etc. So, mahilig tayo sa mga affiliations, kaya nag-join tayo ng mga groups. Second, identification, to have our own identity, no? Or an act of identifying the state of being identified. Next is emotional support. Mayroon tayo niyan. Kasi pagdating sa mga bagay-bagay na kailangan natin ng support, for example, mayroon tayong mga problema na i-experience, we need a group that will support us emotionally. Next, we have assistance. Of course, it means that the act of helping or assisting someone, no? Kailangan natin ng assistance sa panahon ng mga pagsubok sa atin, panahon ng pangangailangan. Nandyan yung group natin para tutulong sa atin, no? Saka yung common interest. Pareho tayo ng interest, kaya tayo sumasali sa isang grupo. Next, we have common goals. Pareho tayo ng goals. The next, we have physical proximity. Yung tinatawag nating proximity, the quality or state of being proximate or closeness. Nandyan yan sa isang grupo. Next, we have group dynamics. This social process by which people interact in a small group and face-to-face manner is called group dynamics. Dynamics comes from the Greek word dunamis, which means force. Group dynamics then refers to the study of the forces operating within a group. There are two types of groups. The first one is the primary group and the second one is the secondary group. Primary group described by Charles Coley as those characterized by intimate face-to-face association and cooperation. They are primary in several senses, but chiefly in that they are fundamentally informing the social nature and ideas of the individual. The result of intimate association psychologically is a certain fusion of individualities in a common whole, so that one's very self, for many purposes at least, is the common life and purpose of the group. Perhaps the simplest way of describing this wholeness is by saying that is a we. It involves the sort of sympathy and mutual identification for which we is the natural expression. One lives in the feeling of the whole and finds the chief of this will in that feeling. The second one is the secondary group. Those which do not necessarily involve face-to-face association or intimate or personal relations. The members are aware of these relationships and take cognizance of them, but they do not feel that their lives are bound up in them except in time of social crisis. The members may be separated from one another by distance or by lack of personal physical contact. Their contact may be through correspondence, the press, the radio, the telephone, or other means. There are characteristic subgroups. What are those? First, interaction. Patterns of mutual influence may be physical, verbal, non-verbal, or emotional. Second, structure. Stable patterns of relationships. A. Roles, behavior expected of members in a given position. B. Norms, roles that identify and describe approximate behavior. C. Inter-member relations are influenced by authority and communication. The third one is goals. This goal is the reason for existence. The fourth one is perceived groupness, extend to which members see themselves as one. Yung tinatawag nating common faith, similarity, and proximity. Number 5 is dynamic interdependency, extent to which members are active, energized, vibrant, and changing. And number 6 is motivation, personal needs or gain being satisfied. Ito yung mga characteristics of the groups. Nandyan yan para para maabot yung mga goals and objectives of the groups. Kasi pag wala yung mga characteristics na yan, paano ka mamotivate na kukunin yung goals na tinatarget mo? So, characteristics of the groups are very important. Next, we have kinds of formal and informal groups. First, we go for formal groups. Formal groups are divided into the following. Number 1, compound groups are specified by an organizational chart and other composed of leader and the members who directly report to him or her. What are examples of this? Yung mga academic department consisting of chair and faculty members. Isa sa mga example. Second is task groups consist of people who work together to achieve a common task. Members are brought together to accomplish a narrow range of goals within a specific or specified time. So yung example nito yung mga tinatawag nating ad hoc committees, yung mga project groups, mga standing committees. Sila yung mga task groups, no? Third, we have functional group. Functional group is created by an organization to accomplish specific goals within an unspecified time frame. They continue to function even after their goals within a specified time. So, example nito yung mga sales and marketing department. So, mayroon sila mga sila yung mga tinatawag nating functional group. For kinds of informal groups, we have here interest groups. Usually continue over time and may last longer than general informal groups. The goals and objectives of interest groups are specific to its group and may not be related to organizational goals and objectives. For example, mga example ito, yung mga students who come together to form a study group for a specific class. Second, friendship groups. Friendship groups are formed by individuals who enjoy similar social activities, political beliefs, religious values, or other common bonds. Members enjoy each other's company. So, example nito yung mga students who have an exercise group or who meet for this so-called jamming. Next, we have reference groups. Reference groups are composed of people who are evaluated for social validation and social comparison. Social validation allows individuals to justify their attitudes and value, while social comparison helps individuals evaluate their own actions by comparing themselves with others. Informal groups are formed naturally in response to the common interests and shared values of individuals. They are created for purposes other than the accomplishments of organizational goals and do not have a specified time frame. Informal groups are not designated by an organization, and members can invite others to join from time to time. There are 6 factors affecting group performance. What are these? Number 1, cohesiveness. Number 2, group size. Number 3, communication. Number 4, task versus maintenance rules. Number 5, presence of others. And number 6, social loafing. Cohesiveness, the strength of group members' desires to remain a part of their groups. Cohesion is strengthened by, number 1, homogeneity. Number 2, severity of the initiation to join the group. 3, a high external threat or competition. 4, amount of time spent together. 5, smallness of the group. And 6, group's history of success. Group cohesion has some important consequences as well. There are 2, positive and negative. So what is the positive side of it? The positive side, people enjoy the membership. Members participate more fully. They tend to be highly productive and they experience low turnover. For negative, groupthink arises when groups are too cohesive. Second, group commitment might hinder productivity. And third, groups may conspire to sabotage others for the group's benefit. Ito yung mga dapat nating tandaan. Ito yung dapat nating ingatan sa isang grupo. At tingnan, at the end of the day, mas maganda pa rin kung tinitingnan natin yung kung ano ang makabubuti sa isang grupo. Second is group size. How many members are too many? This is a controversial discussion. As the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. There is a strength in having a significant number of members to pursue a goal. While there is also a saying that too many cooks spoil the broth, or having many members can create conflicts. So, we have here advantages of a small group. First, interact with each other and easier to coordinate. Second, more motivated, satisfied, and committed. Third, easier to share information. Fourth, faster and completing tasks. Number 5, individuals perform better in smaller groups. We have also here advantages of a big group. More number of ideas, more resources at their disposal to achieve group goals, more possible division of labor. Third, we have communication. It's all about transference and the understanding of meaning. So mayroong function ang communication. What are those? First, it control member behavior. Second, foster motivation for what is to be done. Third, provide a release for emotional expression. Fourth, provide information needed to make decisions. We have also here interpersonal communication. First, we have oral communication advantages. Speed and feedback disadvantages. Distortion of the message. Second, written communication advantages. Tangible and verifiable disadvantages. Time-consuming and lack of feedback. For nonverbal communication, we have body movement, intonations, facial expressions, physical distance. What are the advantages and disadvantages of nonverbal communication? For advantages, it supports other communications and provide observable expression of emotions and feelings. For disadvantage, misperception of body language or gestures can influence receivers' interpretation of message. There are barriers of effective communications. What are those? Letter A, filtering. What do you mean by filtering? A sender's manipulation of information so that it will be seen more favorably by the receiver. Second, letter B, selective perception. People selectively interpret what they see on the basis of their interest, background, experience, and attitude. Letter C, information overload. A condition in which information's inflow exceeds an individual's processing capacity. Letter D, emotions. How a receiver feels at the time a message is received will influence how the message is interpreted. Letter E, language. Words have different meanings in different people. Letter F, communication apprehension. Under tension and anxiety about oral communication, written communication, or both. Number 4, we have task versus maintenance rules. Task rules enable the work group to define, clarify, and pursue a common purpose. Meanwhile, maintenance rules foster supportive and constructive interpersonal relationships. In short, tasks rules keep the group together. Number 5, presence of others. When someone performs differently, either more effectively or less effectively in the presence of others, when alone, they are experiencing social facilitation. Individual experience heightened emotional arousal. Then, when aroused, they tend to perform the most dominant response. What common normally? If the dominant response is appropriate, performance will be enhanced. If dominant response is inappropriate, as in a new situation, performance will be impaired. Last but not the least, number 6 is social loafing. Ito yung tinatawag nating free riding. When working with others, addictive tasks are those in which other person's contributions are added together to another's. Unfortunately, as people work together, some in the group may ride on the efforts of others. No? Ito yung tinatawag nating social loafing. This is a contributory issue that some members of a group may be more interested in getting something for themselves than getting something from the group. Ay, marami yan. Alam natin yan kung sino yan sa mga grupo natin. Marami yan. So what are the tips? Mayroon tayong tinatawag na mga tips for eliminating social loafing. Number 1, select members who have high motivation and prefer to work in groups. Hindi yung sarili lang niya iniisip niya, kundi yung group mismo, o yung kung ano yung makabubuti sa group. Second, make each performer identifiable. Third, set group goals so that group has common purpose to strive toward. Make work tasks more important and interesting, or increase intergroup competition, which again focuses on the shared outcome. Again, hindi yung pansarili lang, but shared. Next, reward individuals for contributing to their group's performance. And next, engage in peer evaluation. So each person evaluates each other's contribution. This is to assess whatever contributions that you have in a group. Maganda yan. So, pag ito yung sinusunod natin sa ating grupo, mawawala yung tinatawag nating social loafing. So, magagawa lang natin yan pag tayo mismo sa isang grupo, nagtutulungan tayo para sa ikabubuti ng ating grupo. Always remember that what is the most important thing here is the achievement of the goals and objectives of the group. Yan talaga ang pinakamaganda dyan. Kasi pag nasa grupo tayo at hindi tayo naging effective, hindi tayo tumutulong sa isang grupo, magiging barrier tayo sa pag-angat ng isang grupo. So let us contribute to whatever things that we have, whatever skills that we have, whatever talents that we have in the achievement of the goals and objectives of the group. A person cannot live alone. He or she needs the company of others. By nature, a social being that needs to form a group. A person has his or her own community. Aside from permanent groupings, there are also temporary ones, such as the various organizations in society, which may be religious, economic, or political in nature. Forming a group is important to every human being because he or she needs a companion for the rest of his or her life. However, regulation must be imposed and followed for the smooth existence of the group. That ends our lesson 1 for this module. I hope you have understand things here, and I hope you can contribute also to the groups that you have participated. And I hope you have something, mayroon kayong natutunan sa ating klase, mayroon tayong maibabahagi sa ating mga kaibigan na ganito pala tayo o ganito pala kapag sumasali tayo sa isang grupo. May mga responsibilidad pala tayo na kailangan nating gampanan para maabot natin yung mga goals and objectives ng ating grupo. So, God bless, stay safe, mabuhay tayong lahat. Mabuhay tayong lahat.